So it's day 2 of Obama on offense. Today's strategy, try to link the GOP to the problem of his botched health care rollout.
Between a reckless shutdown by congressional Republicans in an effort to repeal the Affordable Care Act and, admittedly, poor execution on my administration's part in implementing the latest stage of the new law, nobody's acquitted themselves very well these past few months. So it's not surprising that the American people's frustrations with Washington are at an all-time high.
He does it.
But not everyone is buying what he's selling. Charles Krauthammer thinks the president is out of touch.
Obama thinks that he can repeal reality with rhetoric. His trouble is he had a little bit of trouble governing. And here he's faced with a management problem, a government problem. He passed a bill that is so complex. The regulations are so complex and contradictory. He's got a website that is not functioning correctly. And he thinks that if he makes the right speeches, he says the right words, somehow it will change perception. But here he runs up against the wall.
Meanwhile, Politico is reporting today that 29,000 people signed up for insurance through healthcare.gov on Sunday and Monday.
Let's stop this.
And by the way, that's Harry Reid. Some members of Harry Reid's staff who helped create the law aren't among the 29,000 that had to sign up for Obamacare because they got an Obamacare exemption. What they did, Greg, is basically he said that his leadership staff is not going to have to go on the exchanges. The ruling earlier this year gave him the option of doing so, but interestingly, none of the other leadership offices of John Boehner, Nancy Pelosi, or Mitch McConnell have done the same.
Right.
What do you think of that?
Reid is a genius. He's like Walter White in Breaking Bad. He is like a meth dealer who never tries the drug. The difference here is that meth is safer than Obamacare. But he doesn't. He's the guy who pushes it, but he never tries it. That's brains.
That is, I like your analogies. I really do.
Why, thank you.
Let's get Eric in here to tell us about the latest Obamacare. Because somebody just tweeted me and said that they were looking forward to what delusional things Bob would say today. Let's start with you before we go to delusion.
Let's do our facts for the factually challenged liberals Wednesday edition. So 29,000, according to Politico, 29,000 enrollees over the Saturday and Sunday, 2 days. Extrapolate that out, Bob, to get the 40 million people that are uninsured that you claim are uninsured in America. That takes 7.5 years. Also, during the same period of time, even less, even a shorter period of time than Obamacare has been available to us, New Jersey gamblers, since the last 2 weeks, have enrolled 56,000, far more than the 29,000 over the weekend for Obamacare.
And you're taking more of a risk with Obamacare.
That's a good point. One more number. About 4 Medicaid enrollees for every Obamacare enrollee, so 4 takers for every maker. The law is simply, it's going to end up at the end of this little experiment, going to be, if it continues to go, the biggest redistribution of American wealth in the history of this country, period.
With reduced quality of health care.
And I don't think we'll ever be outdone. I think it's a record that's going to stand. Put that one in the Guinness World Book of Records. Here's another reason why this is a big problem. Because the millennials that President Obama always tries to court, majority of them are covered by their parents' insurance until they're 26 years. So they're not going to even buy into this. This is the problem with the lack of funding and economic support and framework for this, which is why it's going to be a huge problem for the rest of us. Because those little healthy youngins still living at home, getting bologna sandwiches, they're not buying any of this. So they're not going to log on no matter how many phony commercials you try and put forward to lure them into this nasty trap.
Speaking of bologna sandwich.
Did you eat bologna sandwich? First of all, you know that the reason that they're home getting that insurance is because of Obamacare. That's part of Obamacare. You know that, right?
Well, the point is, he's not going to get their dollars and cents.
That's correct.
So this whole little framework that he's made at this house of cards isn't going to stand up, Bob.
Can I just say, yesterday the president said, bring your ideas down. And I say, yes, sir, brothers and sisters. Bring your ideas down. Come to the table. Bring your things. Eric, you come on down here and give us your ideas. And Kimberly, you come too. And we're going to put them all in there.
Portability.
Here's a good one. Yeah.
Cross-state lines.
Cross-state lines and
tax reform.
And tort reform.
And also
there you go.
repealing the corporate welfare of the bill.
And repeal the corporate
Make it attractive.
Okay, there we go.
Come on,
There you go. Done.
Reinstate health savings accounts, which are tax-free dollars that you have, so that if you decide that you want to go to a chiropractor and your health insurance doesn't cover that, your money can go to pay for that rather than the government.
Right, the whole damn thing right here.
That's the funny thing. You're right.
We actually could.
A free market idea is incredibly simple. It works in every other industry, but it's overcomplicated by thousands of pages of bureaucratic nonsense that keeps people in their professions as bureaucratic nonsense makers.
Rather than try and say, what's your other idea? We had another idea. It could have been helped and fixed. There was a free market solution, free market health care, which was what we were doing before. We just needed to, there needed to be some tweaks to it.
Look at Bob.
Remove the ban from if you're an insurance company in New Jersey, you can't sell it in New York. That is ridiculous and stupid. So you remove some of those.
Tell me why Blue Cross.
Hold on. But you keep saying what's your other alternative? There are plenty of them out there. I don't think any of them are that good. I think the original system was probably the best. Last fact, and I promise to shut up for the next 8 minutes of the block.
No,
I doubt that.
Trust me, if let's just say you go online and you get Obamacare for $500 a month, okay? A family of four, $500 a month, and a $12,000 deductible, which I showed you a couple of weeks ago in several states was the average for the lower bronze plan. That's $18,000 per year per family, out of pocket first, before the insurance company pays a dime, and before anyone gives anyone a penny back from the government. How is this possibly going to work?
It's not.
It will never work.
Where did you get those facts from?
Those are all facts, and actually, he's being quite generous to say that you could get a plan for $500 for a family of four.
Okay.
Let me we have one other topic to get to, and I don't want you to shut up, Eric. We want your participation.
I do. Can we take a vote?
So the president today had a summit at the White House for youth. This is what he said. Then we're going to tell you about a poll.
But I hope you haven't been discouraged by how hard it's been, because stuff that's worth it's always hard. Civil rights movement was hard. Getting women the right to vote, that was hard. Making sure that workers had the right to organize, that was hard. It's never been easy for us to change how we do business in this country. This has been the case for Social Security, for Medicare, for all the great social progress that we've made in this country.
However, Greg, are the young people buying it? Because today the Harvard Institute of Politics released a poll that said that the young people, not always the most reliable voters and confused seems in their views, they said the majority of them said today that they disapproved of Obamacare, and that if given the chance, they would recall President Obama, they would not vote for him today.
Yeah, I think the valuable lesson that they've learned is that cool doesn't reflect achievement. It actually masks incompetence. And young people often grow out of things very quickly. My niece had posters of Justin Bieber all over her room, and then suddenly they were gone.
Because you took them.
I did. They're in my...
I mean, this is very easy.
They're in my camper down by under the underpass. But the fact is, they could have listened to me. For years, I'm like the camp counselor saying, don't play in the poison ivy. I've been saying that for years on Red Eye, but nobody listens because it was cool to vote for Obama. Now he's saying, oh, this is very hard. This is a very hard thing. And all good things are difficult. It's like Obamacare is a necessary evil without the necessary.
It is interesting, Bob, that they seem to have had this idea, right? This idea of Obamacare, this great achievement that President Obama would achieve. And that would be his legacy. And yet, one of the things that the president still hasn't been able to answer is, you know, he said that he was the last to know that the website was going to not work out. How could it be that the president still does not know? And in the New York Times today, if I could get you to comment on this also, there's a trial balloon floated about all the different names of people that might be fired in the result of this, which to me basically said they're just trying to see which which person they can fire that will be politically palatable to America.
Awful.
I mean, I don't. There's no excuse for Obama not knowing this if he didn't know it. But you know, the thing about young people, I don't know of a demographic group in America that, given the onslaught of negative publicity about this act, would not be against Obamacare. I don't know of one that is.
Well, why wouldn't that have been? But then, why wouldn't that have been true in 2012, though, for the election?
Well, because
where they came out in droves
because it
to
didn't
vote
have
for
the
him.
onslaught of negative publicity
Really?
this has had.
From the Republicans?
No,
From the
well,
Republican
first of all,
Party?
you get back to the Republicans. Did you mention the fact that people want to recall Obama and Congress, right?
And Congress, yes.
Right, okay, I was want to make sure we got that.
The whole lot of them.
And I don't, the idea that somehow these young people,
Everybody
they may
wants
not vote.
Congress gone.
You may be right. They may not turn out. They may not be reliable voters. But one thing they're going to be sure of, they ain't going to vote Republican. Not a
I do
prayer.
think that was an interesting thing in the poll, Eric, which if you're in the private sector, would you consider looking at this poll to look at the types of marketing decisions you might make for that younger age group?
All you have to do, if you get a chance, read Mark Stein's latest column. It's amazing. It points out all the flaws with President Obama. The man had never had any private sector experience.
Yeah.
The people he surrounds himself have no almost no private sector experience, much less than Bush or any of the prior presidents. And that's the problem.
Isn't he a British guy?
No, he's a Canadian who happens to have, and he may be an American. I don't know if he's an American. Whatever. The guy's a brilliant writer, and he nails what's going on with Obamacare and President Obama's presidency to the T, to the wall. Bob, you may want to read that and may at least have an open mind when you do.
And Kimberly, if people are
I have an open mind, but do you think you have an open mind?
Hey, let me ask Kimberly a question. If you're in a reading mood tonight, would you consider rereading Peggy Noonan's blog from last night, which was along the same lines, which is about low information leadership rather than low information voters?
You mean read it for the third time?
Oh, yeah.
I'm one ahead of you. Catch up, Dana.
You know
yes.
what's profiles in courage right now are beating up on Barack Obama. It's a really gutsy
Oh,
thing
really?
to do.
I mean, as if he hasn't been beating up and saying nasty things about people from the beginning of his administration.
no.
Hey, but listen, then
He's a
don't
sweet,
run,
cool
then don't
guy.
run for president if
for
you
being
can't
called
take
an
the
enemy.
heat and take
You
the
can't
scrutiny.
take the heat.
And,
That's right.
and hire some better people. I mean, Greg's right. Incompetence here hidden by cool. We got the cool
Last point to
president, but he
Greg.
doesn't have the skill set, like Eric said, to do the job.
I think there's one industry that's been helped by Obamacare, the human backdrops. I've been looking at it on the stock exchange. Human backdrops are up 37%.
What about fainting human
What's
backdrops?
a human backdrop?
80%?
80% increase in fainting.
Yeah, they've replaced the potted plant industry.
Ride the market,
All right,
baby.
directly ahead, Detroit is in deep financial trouble. Now one of America's largest cities is eligible for bankruptcy. What's next? We'll break down the Motown money woes. And later, a big shakeup over at MSNBC after some vile comments about Governor Sarah Palin. Those new developments coming up on The 5.